All right, if you just joined us, this is still Enterprise Morning on Enterprise TV, and now to our main conversation for today. The Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and the Non-Academic Staff Union have declared a 7-day warning strike beginning March 18, 2024 to demand the payment of 4 months of the members' withheld salaries after the 2022 nationwide strike. The decision was part of the resolution of the Joint Action Committee of the two unions after a meeting which held in Akure at the weekend, according to SANU President Muhammad Ibrahim, who read the communique of the meeting to journalists in Abuja on Monday. The decision to embark on the warning strike was taken as a last resort since several protest letters and other communications with the federal government did not result in the payment of the withheld salaries. The fresh development comes on the heels of the unions accusing the federal government of treating their members with disdain. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had directed the payments of withheld salaries for the university workers owing to their strike of 2022. However, SANU and NASU and the National Association of Academic Technologists, NAT, said they were yet to get salaries for the set period and had issued a 1-week ultimatum about 2 weeks ago. With me in the studio today to discuss these and more is Dr. Olayinka Oyegbile. He is a journalist and also an educator. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Nice to be back again.
Thank you so very much for having you. Now, I am so very happy to have you discuss this. Of course, you are an educator, so you will be very vast in all of this. Now, it's becoming very ridiculous in Nigeria that a country with over 200 million people, with 235 universities, up until today, we're still finding it difficult to see how we can harness this potential for the greatness of our country. Isn't it very funny that in 2024, we're still talking about strike actions in Nigeria?
Honestly, it is something that baffles me every time because anytime a section of the university, either academic or non-academic, senior staff or technologists and so on, go on strike, and they are able to muzzle out some concessions from government, the other arm too will want the same thing. But as I always say, we are too much in a superiority contest situation in Nigeria. It's a case of like the late Nkemwanko, my Mercedes is bigger than yours kind of thing. Why should we always have that rivalry? When people talk about, maybe they say doctors are being paid more than other graduates and all that, I ask, you choose to be whatever you want to be. Why do you now grudge those who are being paid better than you?
But doctor, is this a case of superiority, or is it
between ASU and NASU? It is. It
is? Or it's a case of having a level playing ground for everyone?
Yes, unfortunately. It has always been, but unfortunately, government with its latest action has fallen into that trap, trying to see as if it is rating ASU over SANU or NASU. But as far as me I'm concerned, whether you are a university teacher or you are a non-academic staff, they are all they are symbiotic. They work together. You cannot have an academic community when you don't have non-academic staff. Neither can you have non-academic staff without having an academic community.
True.
So, when you decided to be an academic staff, you know what it entails.
Good.
If you decide otherwise to be a non-academic staff, you know what it entails. So the government this time around, although the only misunderstanding now is no longer between ASU and NASU and SANU.
Yeah.
It is now it is what the government has created. And I see a situation where if government accedes and begins to pay them now, ASU may also want to say that they want to go on strike or what, because as it is now, both unions were on strike. Although
For that very long period of time, of course, between 2022, for the 8 months people
exactly.
were on strike.
Although when you look at it, ASU was the arrowhead. Yes.
Had always been the arrowhead.
So ASU being the arrowhead, when government decided to clamp down on their salary, the government did not clamp down on the salary of ASU alone.
Okay.
I think it was a general thing.
Yeah.
That was when they now created that faction which they call, I can't remember now, but in what we are discussing now. So why should government decide to pay ASU and not pay SANU and NASU? That is the beginning of another crisis. Because even if I were to be a non-academic staff, and you are paid academic staff, we all went on strike, or the school was shut down, and you decided to pay a section. Why did you decide to pay? If you don't have the money to pay yet, or to pay every one of them, why pay one side and holding the other side? So that is where I see the government has made a vital error. And I hope that they will quickly correct that, because Nigeria cannot afford to have another round of strike. I mean, students have been home they were home for 8 months, almost losing an academic session. And it's only in Nigeria. I know an American professor who once told me when we did an interview for him, and we asked him about ASU. And you know, in all honesty, he told us, he said, no, please, this is off record. Don't put this in your recording and don't quote me. What did he say? He said, Nigerian professors are always, or academics in Nigeria are always saying American professors or American are well paid, who teach in university and so on and so forth. But, yes, they are well paid, but they earn every cent of the dollar they earn. That in Nigeria is not sure they do that. And that that in their closets, when he's with those of them who are his friends, he do tell them that some of you cannot survive in an American university. Why? Because most of the things that they do here, nobody will take it from them. One, you have 300 students. Yes, there are many, but you must grade all of them. Individually. And then, students also assess lecturers. So if you have a population of 100 or 200 students, and half of them grade you badly, the university will call you and tell you that we are sorry, you have to buckle up or you find another university to go. Because the students are also grading their teachers. It's not only the teachers that grade them. But here, we have a situation where a lecturer will come into the class and tell students that nobody can get an A in my class.
That A is meant for him alone.
Exactly. So, now, what are we saying? We have a situation where lecturers see themselves as superior to every other person, either as academic, non-academic staff especially. And in life, I've come to learn one thing. There's no one that is not important.
No one is an island.
Nobody. I remember I read an interview in Time magazine some time ago where former President Obama, when he was still President of the United States, said every morning he walks the corridor, he sees all those sweepers, he greets them specially, saying that thank you very much, you are the one keeping us here. Showing them that they are important. So, because if those people don't sweep, there's no way it will be conducive for him to do his job. So, NASU, they are the ones who carry fire, they are the ones who are in charge of record, they are the ones who knows, you have graded so candidate, the candidate needs this or academic record, they are the one who know. It's not the lecturer that keeps all those things. So, the government as well as ASU and every one of us must see everybody as important. We should not treat anyone as unimportant. And that is the bane of our system. Because some people see themselves as too important. And that's the reason why a governor that has not taxed the road, that has not made the environment conducive, is driving, is coming, and then he will be blowing siren and they will be driving everybody off the road to the bad portion. If they had made the road good, we didn't need all those sirens. So the government has fallen into that track of rating ASU above SANU. And I don't think it is right. Yes, they may have, how do I put it? Yes, every society has a hierarchy.
Yeah, has a hierarchy, yeah.
But we must not overtly show that you prefer this to this. It's just like a father. You have children, and you now treat one or two better than the others. You will have a rebellion in your house.
All right,
and
so
that
now,
is what is going to happen.
Yeah, so what do you think the current government should do at this point? Most importantly, let's look at it from the area of the preferential treatment that is currently being created. What do you think the government can do to first off stop that or dilute that line between this organization and that organization, but most importantly ensure that the monies meant for these people is released as soon as possible in order to avert the issue or the strike that is looming?
I think the Minister of Education, it falls directly under his portfolio, should urgently summon a meeting of SANU or the non-academic staff and try and explain the issue to them. Let them see, was it an oversight? Was it a clerical error or whatever? But you should call them quickly before the 7-day elapsed, because you see the problem with Nigeria is that they've given the 7-day notice now. Government will not do anything. By Friday night, they will now go to an industrial court to serve them what do you call it? To serve them a notice that the industrial court has said they should not go on strike and all that. No. This is the time to call them to a table and say, look, the reason why we are paying ASU is this. It's not as if we are not going to pay you. Maybe they are planning to pay them by phases, or there's any other plan that we don't know about. Or if it was an error, apologize to them and tell them that, look, it was an error, we will make an amend, because there's no one that is above mistake. So, government can make mistake. Government is run by human beings, and human beings are prone to errors and prone to oversight. So, the government should let them understand and tell them the reason why, or explain to them why what happened is happening, and what step are they going to take to correct it.
Exactly. So let's take a look at this. I know it all is a network with the proliferation of private universities, which are created, of course, because of the inadequacies of the public ones. How do you think these private universities have been able to address such issues without having the blow up of a problem that we have in our public universities?
You see, as far as I'm concerned, I think the private universities have come to fill a yawning gap. There has been a gap. I often imagine if there are no private universities, the number of youths that we have roaming the streets today, hoping to sit for JAM. But at the same time, we should not take a bush to be a forest.
Okay.
Because what we are doing now, government is licensing private university left, right, and center every now and then. But we are not looking at the issue of manpower. And when I say manpower, I mean who are the people that will man these universities?
Okay.
In the last 4 or so years, I've taught in 2 private universities, and I know what I'm talking about.
Please share some experiences with us.
Some of them, you ask yourself, how did they get this?
How did they get the license?
How did they get the license?
Okay.
How are they running a university? Because the facilities are not there. The staff strength is not there. And you now ask yourself, is this the way we are going to bridge that gap? You get what I'm saying? So we have that problem that, okay, create more universities, that will solve the problem. It won't solve the problem. Rather, it is going to multiply the problem. Because in that situation, you are going to have more graduates who are unemployable,
But
who have no skill.
really,
Because the system of inculcating education is zero, or is not up to par. The first one I spoke about, I had to live there because of that.
really,
The one I'm in now, yes. At least when you talk about facilities and you talk about having the staff, they are there. It could be better. But you see, we have a society where we are not producing enough manpower. The little manpower that you have, immediately they get out, they see Nigeria or any of our universities at a stopgap, immediately they get either a postdoctoral or a fellowship or something, they go abroad, they don't get back.
yeah, because I get to wonder. There was a statistics that was done in new media, that is in IT, and it was made clear that private university graduates were better off than public university ones. You know, in public university, you see them still teaching COBOL. While in private universities, they're already in the game. They're already knowing how to do new generation things. So the question is, how come these private universities do not have all of these things you've enumerated, but they still produce some of the finest graduates at the end of the day?
Yes. Let me tell you something. The private universities will produce the best or almost the best because to some extent they still have that quality control. And in a class, you don't have as many students as you have in a public university. There is a particular course that I had in a public university. You have more than 1,000 students. for a lecturer,
For a public university.
for a single lecturer to take 1,000 students. Now, even if you have a public address system and you have a hall that will accommodate all the 1,000, in a semester, how many assignments do you want to give 1,000 students that you are going to be able to mark? Then you give them semester exam. But in a private university, the same class may not be more than 40, 50 if they are up to that at all. And then there will be personal relationship, personal contact. You may be able to know your students one by one. This is Joke, this is John, this is Joseph, and things like that. But in a class of 1,000, how many do you know? So, and in a situation where a single lecturer is teaching 1,000 students, how does he give them assignment? And if he gives them assignment, how does he sit down to mark 1,000 scripts, especially if he's in a field like mine, where it is not multiple choice lecture or course, where it is essays and essays and essays. So if I have 40 scripts to mark and I have 1,000 scripts to mark, I mean, so
the difference is actually there.
So the private universities will likely produce more students, or more brilliant students, because at least they have some level of quality and number of students that they are supervising.
Very true. So finally, Doctor, what do you think of this? Do you think to end this issue of NASU, ASU, fracas with the federal government and all, do you think it makes any sense if we would privatize our public universities? Do you think it will make any sense, and do you think it will bring to an end to all of these issues that we keep having now and then?
Well, you cannot say because you are having a headache, you cut off your head. I don't think saying that we should privatize public universities will be the solution. The solution, I think, should be in better supervision, and also the idea of trying to make the union understand that, look, you have your union, but there must be a better way to deal with government. And the government also must always respond to their plea. Government should not wait for strike before they do things for universities. And even in America, that is the most capitalist country in the world, there are still public universities. So we cannot say because of that we are going to privatize all universities. No, that means we are going to create bigger problems. Because the private universities that we have today, don't make a mistake and think that it is the children of rich people that are going to private universities. I know students who are in the private university who pay their school fees more than 6 times in a session because their parents don't have it. So they allow them to pay bit by bit. So it's not a case of, even if you privatize, does that solve the problem of ASU or NASU? No, it won't. So the issue is government must be seen to be fair to all unions in the university.
Very true.
Don't be too bent towards ASU or NASU or SANU.
Very true. And the truth remains that a country that refuses to invest in its education is a country that is gradually stepping towards annihilation. And the fact still remains that all we need in this country is to have good governance that would make it easy and possible for everyone to receive a sigh of relief in the country. I'd love to say my big thank you to Dr. Olayinka Oyebile for being part of our show today. It was really indeed a very engaging discussion. Thank you so very much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Yes, and for you watching, we'd love to say thank you so very, very much for also making our time to be part of our show today. Please do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igubike. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye for me.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.